From March 18th of 2022 to November 9th of 2023, the Booster Course Pass, much like the base game itself, has become well known for having one of the most refined speedruns of the entire franchise. Requiring one perfect kart build, 48 tracks of knowledge, and 144 laps of perfected pathing, it's no wonder these speedrunners have been able to do crazy things. But why listen to me talk about the skills when you can see for yourself? I'm Orisaey, and it's time to speedrun the 1 hour, 26 minute, and 11 second world record of the Booster Course Pass. Oh, and this run is by Pianist15, so go check them out using the link in the description. Also, only 2% of you are actually subscribed, so hit the button and the bell as hard as you can. It really helps out the channel and lets me know what games you want to see in the future. Starting the clock upon selecting the Golf Dash Cup's Paris Promenade, Pianist uses Berto, the Teddy Buggy, and roller wheels to turn past the Arc de Triomphe and Eiffel Tower, before threading the needle through these pipes and going back the way he came for first place. In Toad Circuit, he follows the rough figure 8 through this tunnel and around these pipes for all 3 laps, choosing to boost rather than gliding and winning yet again. In Choco Mountain, he drives outside the mountain and inside this cave, gliding over to the falling boulders and jumping multiple times into victory. In Coconut Mall, he takes this escalator and rides through the second level, bouncing off fountains and plants, taking the bottom path and avoiding Shy Guys through to the finish. The Lucky Cat Cup. In Tokyo Blur, Pianist drifts back and forth through the streets of Japan, past these swamps under this lantern, over and around this bridge and into the finish. In Shroom Ridge, he navigates around these traffic-filled corners, collecting coins, going through this tunnel, and doing this twice over into first place. In Sky Garden, he weaves past these leaves, tricking over this mushroom, jumping through vines, and taking this chicane into the next track. In Ninja Hideaway, he bends through the temple, avoiding spikes, breaking fake piranha plants to start gliding early, landing in the rafters, and tricking over these platforms across the line. The Turnip Cup. In New York Minute, Pianist drifts through both Central Park and Times Square, avoiding Goombas and taxis, landing inside Rockefeller Center, and twisting through this parking lot for first place. In Mario Circuit 3, he goes through this triple chicane and rounds this corner, before taking yet another triplet and boosting to the finish. In Calamari Desert, he takes 2 wide turns and tricks off 2 ramps, landing on the tracks, going through this tunnel, avoiding the train itself, and tricking twice over to the finish. In Waluigi Pinball, he flies into the machine itself, drifting through its channels, landing on the board, dodging bumpers, avoiding pinballs, and turning into the win. The Propeller Cup. In Sydney Sprint, Pianist drifts into the Opera House, driving past Luna Park, over Harbour Bridge, onto this ferry, across this wharf, and back the way he came for first place. In Snowland, he takes these corners into this straightaway, before navigating across the ice, over this jump, and around even more turns into the finish. In Mushroom Gorge, he launches off this bridge, bounces off this mushroom, and tricks through this cave, turning one last time into the checkered flag. In Sky High Sunday, he flies through this cone and across these stairs, before tricking off both ice cream and s'mores, taking a detour and landing on these ice cubes to complete the cup. The Rock Cup. In London Loop, Pianist rides through Charing Cross, around these buses and over Tower Bridge, drifting past chain jumps, going across Waterloo Bridge, and along the Thames into victory. In Boo Lake, he goes across these ramps and takes the left path, as he drifts through the water, tricks onto dry land, and reaches the finish line. In Rock Mountain, he drives along the cliffside and enters this cave, gliding through the forest, ascending to the peak, and flying into first. In Maple Treeway, he swerves into the cannon and lands in the canopy, curving into the open air, dodging wigglers, boosting through the branches, and gliding to the finish. The Moon Cup. In Berlin Byways, Pianist speeds through the Brandenburg Gate, past the Victory Column and onto these tracks, before racing past the Berlin Wall and darting through the Tiergarten into first place, In Peach Gardens, he drives through this courtyard and over these flowers, avoiding topiaries and chain jumps, dodging this piranha plant, and repeating this both forwards and backwards through laps 2 and 3. In Merry Mountain, he races through the village and veers onto these tracks, before swinging up and down the mountain itself and tricking into the finish. In 3DS Rainbow Road, he drifts, tricks, and bounces past several planets, prior to boosting over Saturn's rings, navigating craters and chain jumps, entering this tunnel and blasting into the finish line. The Fruit Cup. In Amsterdam Drift, Pianist glides over this tram and drives past these windmills, before landing in the canal, passing another tram, heading through the tulips, and into town for first. In Riverside Park, he drifts through the area and around these patuis, entering this cave, tricking through the waterfall, and sliding to the finish. In DK Summit, he shoots to the summit's peak, prior to tricking, drifting, and boosting down the ski slope, taking the skip and speeding through the checkered flag. In Yoshi's Island, he weaves past Still Guys and Huffin' Puffins, before entering this castle, driving through the clouds, activating the path, and driving along it to finish the cup. The Boomerang Cup. In Bangkok Rush, Pianist drives past markets and right onto the SkyTrain, drifting through city streets, gliding over the Democracy Monument, turning through a parking lot onto these tents and getting first place. In DS Mario Circuit, he avoids Goombas and Piranha Plants, before jumping straight through the forest, tricking past Peach's castle and turning into the finish. In Waluigi Stadium, he stunts through the mud and many rings of fire, prior to avoiding these mecha piranhas and fire bars, and flying through the flames into victory. In Singapore Speedway, he speeds around the metropolis and reaches the observation deck, moving through Chinatown, drifting through the gardens, gliding past the rooftop, and returning into town for the win. The Feather Cup. In Athens Dash, Pianist leaves the Parthenon and tricks off of pillars, before riding through the theatre, gliding into this tunnel, and driving up these stairs past these boulders and in between columns into first. In Daisy Cruiser, he takes the right path and stunts off the pool, before twisting down these stairs, avoiding moving tables, going around the back of the ship and over the line. In Moonview Highway, he scales this wall, tricks up this ramp, and lands on the road itself, crossing this bridge, boosting between toll booths, and bringing his momentum into victory. In Squeaky Clean Sprint, he launches off the sink, lands on these sponges, and goes down the drain, drifting past his fan, gliding into these shelves, and completing the cup. The Cherry Cup. In LA Laps, Pianist tricks off the pier and onto the beach below, drifting through the city, flying above Dodger Stadium, jumping over grass, navigating oil fields, and turning into first. In Sunset Wilds, he rolls through the desert and boosts through the mud, dodging Shy Guys, tricking through this rock formation, and riding over the line. In Cooper Cape, he boosts below this cliff and avoids several Goombas, before sliding through the rapids, going underwater, and driving over this waterfall into victory. In Vancouver Velocity, he leaves town and goes across these suspension bridges, which takes him through this park, through this tunnel, and through this arena to beat the cup. The Acorn Cup. In Rome Avanti, Pianist turns through the Colosseum and into the Roman Forum, racing through town, bouncing off a Monty Mole, tricking off these stairs, and dodging chain chomps into first place. In DK Mountain, he turns past these barrels and shoots from this cannon, before collecting coins, avoiding boulders, and cutting corners down the mountain and taking this bridge across the line. In Daisy Circuit, he drifts past these buildings and fountains, prior to entering this tunnel, boosting around the lighthouse, and riding the curb into victory. In Piranha Plant Cove, he tricks out of the water and through these ruins, where he takes the right path, dodges piranha plants, ducks under swamps, and navigates this cave to cross the finish line. And last but not least, the Spiny Cup. In Madrid Drive, Pianist drives over cobblestones and past this Wiggler, cutting this corner, tricking into the art gallery, avoiding swamps, and boosting through the stadium to the finish. In Rosalina's Ice World, he turns through the frozen half-pipe and tricks onto this glacier, before navigating the iceberg, boosting through its second half, and wheeling into first. In Bowser Castle 3, he tricks under fireballs and narrowly misses this geyser, riding past these swamps, speeding through the middle path, and taking this hairpin over the line. In Wii Rainbow Road, he boosts into this jump and rides this half-pipe, before tricking straight through the figure 8, skipping these turns, clipping this corner, and boosting further into the end of both this cup and the DLC itself, meeting the run-ins with a final time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 11 seconds. As with most speedruns today, the Booster Course Pass 48 track 200cc no item speedrun is one that requires a lot of skill. There is so much precision and endurance involved that it's no wonder most people don't attempt this category. But those that do are truly in a league of their own. On the 1st of March we'll be covering Undertale, but in the meantime, if you want me to break down the speedrun of one of your favourite games, then by all means suggest it in the comments, and I'll see you guys next month. Orisaey out.